All right, so here's a model from Pixabay, free to use images. Let's duplicate a copy and set this to a smart object. And let me close up these extra tabs, or tab, we're not going to be using that. Boop. Okay, so let's hit up Liquefy one more time. And again, you can do this on non-smart objects. I just prefer smart objects because I can reverse things later. Filter, Liquefy, and here's Liquefy. Now, here's where the guides come into play. Because there's a face, Photoshop is determining that there are certain face elements. So if we were to bring up guides, just a moment, I have that under View Options, Show Guides. Without guides, those should disappear. And yeah, well, in my version, it seems to be holding on to it, which is interesting. Hold on. All right, I've just checked my notes. How silly of me. It's literally meaning the guides as created by the rulers. Don't know why I forgot that. So if we were to create a guide, and I still have my guide set to be a little too dark, I'm going to go to Edit, Preferences, and then go over to Guides, Grids, and Slices, and reset my canvas guides to cyan, which is the default. There we go. All right, now we'll pop open the Liquefy. Sorry about that. Filter, Liquefy. And I'm not going to apply previous Liquefy settings. Who knows what's in there? I'm just going to do Liquefy in general. So that should allow me to show guides, and you can see the guides that were there previously. I'm going to turn that off. I was thinking of these smart controls, which are not exactly guides, so they won't quite work the same way. So if we take our face tool, we have some controls right away. We can do things like mess with eyes, which is quite upsetting. Noses, also very upsetting. So you never know about that. And those will change according to your face aware Liquefy. You can see that you've got things like your face shape. You've got your forehead. You can increase that. Chin height. You can mess around with that. Now it's doing its best. Her shoulder's blocking it. Jawline, which I've missed, which will shrink or grow her jawline. Her face width, which you can increase or decrease as well. So you can do some absolutely horrifying things to your subjects. Let's wiggle one eye one way. Let's make these eyes really, really far apart for some reason. Notice we've got two eyes, so we can do the eye tilts in opposite directions or both in the same direction, which is actually quite upsetting because eyes should be wiggling like that. We can make one eye high and one eye low, and we can make one eye tiny and one eye huge. And we can rotate it even further. We can reach in, you see all these individual adjustments. We can pull those around. And we can just essentially make a Picasso figure quite quickly. All right, so why you'd want to do this, I don't really know. But perhaps you want to have some strange abstract pieces and you can just absolutely ruin a person very, very rapidly using your smart controls. I still find it absolutely fascinating that Photoshop is able to detect this so well because look, this face is at an angle. That's an incredible feat of software engineering, even if it's also a very upsetting feat of software engineering. So now we can make this very unusual figure very quickly. All right, and there you have it. Those are your face tools. You have the hand tool. This just refers to your zoom options. So if you've zoomed in on the bottom left here, the hand tool will let you scroll around. You have the magnifying tool as well, which allows you to zoom in very, very close. Holding down the Alt key will allow you to zoom out. Now, this is interesting. If you zoom into a certain point, you'll be able to see the grid, much like you'd normally be able to see the pixels when you zoom in to a certain extent. All right. All of that said, this is essentially the Liquefy tool or filter. I think that it's extremely useful, especially as we start getting into filter galleries. We can see how horrifying we have made this once lovely model. Let's hit it up one more time. You can, of course, layer Liquefies upon Liquefies. So if we were to go in and do a filter Liquefy, we can come in one more time and do something like, say, a bloat tool and just really increase the eye. And we could come in with a pucker tool and just disappear that other eye. And we could maybe bloat this lip to an extreme size. That looks absolutely horrifying. And maybe shrink the nose down to practically nothing. And there's our nightmare fuel Thank you, Photoshop, for creating yet more horrors to haunt us in our sleep. But the Liquefy tool can be used for a number of actual useful controls, and controls edits. We'll touch on that later in the semester rather than making absolutely hideous monstrosities. But the reason I did this is I wanted to show you, you can turn off previous Liquefies and keep them, keep them separate. So you can step back in time to make things slightly more or less normal, blah. So do be careful with the power of Liquefy when dealing with faces. The uncanny valley is right around any corner. The uncanny valley meaning, of course, something that looks human, perhaps a little too human, but at the same time is not human. The interested reader should Google Google the uncanny valley. All right, that said, let's actually delve into some of the filters I find useful for this assignment, and then we'll actually do a quick version of the assignment. I'll see you next video.